Welcome to the Hardcore MBA podcast with your host, Erlend, Bakke.
Hello and welcome to Hardcore MBA. Today we have a very special person on the podcast. He is a young entrepreneur. And where are you signing in from?
I am from the UK in Milton Keynes, so it's near London.
Okay, cool. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, so my name is Ollie Forsyth. I left school age 16 with limited qualifications. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and my entrepreneurial flair kind of started when I was 6 or 7 years old, when I used to make my parents tea and coffee in the morning and charge them 20p a cup. And parents being parents, they wouldn't actually wake up in the morning and drink the first cup. So in order for it to be reheated, it was another 20p. But anyway, I knew 80p a day was not going to last very long, so I wanted to make a bit more. So I just did a bit of market research, wanted to start a business, and I came across there's a massive craze of friendship bracelets, and I thought just it is a bit of a silly idea, but just give it a shot and see what happens. Anyway, I guess I made the right choice. I sold 500 of these things in the space of 6 months, made about $5,000 in age 13, and just built up. And I kind of thought at one point, okay, we've really got something here. So then I developed an online retailer for fun and inexpensive gifts for teenagers. So parents wanted to buy Christmas presents or birthday presents. They are retailers to place to come.
Okay, and what is that place? What is that website?
So it's called the Ollie Shop, which is just www.ollieshop.co.uk. And since then, I've started an entrepreneurs magazine called the Budding Entrepreneur Club. The Budding Entrepreneur Magazine, and we're soon to launch an entrepreneurs club called the Budding Entrepreneur Club as well.
Okay. So when you were 6 or 7, what kind of things? How did you? Why did you start doing those things? Was it because your parents are entrepreneurs? Did you have any? So who was influencing you?
I mean, there wasn't really much, influence around the family. I always loved making money. Is how do you turn out £1 into £100, £100 into £1,000, and so on. And I never really enjoyed school, and I always thought, I can't get work someone, it's just not going to work. And I get quite bored quite easily. So when I was sitting in class, I would just switch off because either I wasn't being taught anything or the teachers were boring. But anyway, I just always wanted to go and start something. And I think in life you just got to take every single opportunity. And it's not. I get so frustrated when I go and talk at universities and schools. They're so focused on qualifications. It's not all about qualifications. It's really about going and do something you really, really like, and hopefully you'll be employable in the near future. So yeah, that's kind of how I started, I guess.
So a lot of people talk about sort of I'm too old, I'm too young, it's not the right time, the economy sucks. But I actually think so the answer is, how do you get started is just get started.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends within reason how old you are. I think if you're kind of still a student at school, again, it's so frustrating. Just schools are not inspiring people to go and start their own business. And, I'm looking to develop a program for students to go and start their own business. And, I just don't get it. I mean, people want to go and start their own business. You have young role models out there who are entrepreneurs, and they are inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. But it's a case of, it's the schools and universities that need to encourage them to go and do it. And I just don't think they do. And it gets so frustrating. I just don't get why they don't do it. But there we go. But I think in a short answer, I think you just got to have a crack. I think you've got to do your market research. If you've got a good idea, don't focus so much on how much money you're going to make in X amount of time. Just really focus on how are you going to be the best possible company and beat the competition.
So for me, because I've been an entrepreneur now for sort of 9 years, and I sort of live in this entrepreneurial world. So I speak to entrepreneurs. They're my friends, and I listen to like the media that I pay attention to is like business books or podcasts, or so I sort of live in this ecosystem of entrepreneurs and business. So for me, in my head, like everyone's an entrepreneur because I just kind of live in that world.
Yeah.
But what is actually what's the case in the real world?
I classify an entrepreneur as someone who's making a real difference to the world, someone who's solving a problem. But at the same time, if you make X amount of money, either each year or in your life, you can only spend so much money. So I think it's really important to give back at some point as well. So I think it's a case of, being an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, and someone who's just making a real difference and making the world a better place. That's what I classify as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because there's a real limit to how much money you can spend. Like, so if you own
Yeah.
your own home, you have a car, and then you can go out and buy Picassos for millions and millions and millions, etc. But
Exactly,
there's actually a limit to how much you can spend. So people look at very wealthy people and go like, oh, they're spending all this money.
Yeah.
But in effect, how much they're actually adding value in the world is much, much bigger, right?
Exactly. I mean, there are only 365 days in the year. I mean, there's only so many houses, cars, and planes you can buy. And then, once you got it, what do you do the rest?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Microsoft and LinkedIn, for example, just bought it for $26 billion or something.
Yeah. Something like that. Billions of dollars.
Is amazing. And I'll be very interested to see what Microsoft do with LinkedIn. But is something to aspire to be? I mean, maybe one day that'll be you.
Maybe. So it depends. I guess it depends on what you want as well. Some people want to build fast growth companies. Other people just want a lifestyle business. But in any case, just going back to the point of rich people buying stuff. Even when rich people buy stuff, they're contributing to the economy, because if they buy a Rolls Royce, there are people that had to make the Rolls Royce. When they go to a restaurant, there's people working in the restaurant. So like we want wealthy people. Because the mentality of a lot of people is, oh, this person is rich, so that now I can't be rich because that person has all the money, and that's not true, right?
No, I think it's also it's like a puzzle. People want to be better than the person next to them. So it's like I can't remember what the program was, but these two guys were living in Monaco. This guy had a 250-foot yacht. The day after, this guy bought a 300-foot yacht. The next day, this guy bought a 300-foot yacht. I mean, the competition is massive.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it depends on yourself. As long as you're happy, and as long as you're having a good life and your family's happy, I think that's what you can ask for.
So, how has your life changed? So, what is sort of the entrepreneurial journey taught you from when you started out until where you're at right now? We grow all our life, but how have you changed as a person?
I think a lot more ambitious. So I used to get up at 7 o'clock every morning when I was 8. Now I get up at probably 5 or 6. Probably work until last 2 nights ago I was working until 11 o'clock midnight. But if you're hungry to do something, you'll work 24 hours a day in order to get it. And I think what's really taught me is you've got to just take every single opportunity, go knock on as many doors as you can. And the reason why we're creating this Entrepreneurs Club is, having been in the media, having met some amazing people in the past, these people are the ones who can really, really help you. Mm-hmm. And I think in the entrepreneurial circle, people want to help one another. And, you have lots of great organizations out there, lots of meetups, a lot of them are full of sales coaches, people trying to sell to you. We don't have any of that whatsoever. And it's really very much about meeting like-minded individuals, and people want to grow with you. And if you can find those connections, like I've done in the past, they can be life-changing. And I think, take every single risk, belongs within reason. How do you know what that risk is going to do for you? Belongs, you're not gambling. I think just take every risk and, just enjoy it. I mean, have a crack and see what happens.
I actually think that's one of the big benefits of starting out when you're younger is that. So I basically, at the age of 26, which you probably think is old. At the age of 26, I was like, oh, I can go get another job, or I can, I can try business and see what happens. And I'd rather do it now, where I'm younger, than older, where I have more to lose. So it's, in some sense, it's more like if you're comfortable in a corporate job, and you're used to getting a steady paycheck, and then it's harder to sort of break out. So I think it's actually, so if anybody's young and watching this, it's like it's great to start when you're young.
I think going back to my university question, I believe every single student should try and start their own business. So if they start a business when they're 16 and they leave school when they're 18, they could, not all businesses work. That's great. But what happens if your university degree or your job you are hoping and aspiring to be doesn't work out? You have no other resources to go to. Whereas, if you started this really nice idea 5 years ago, you might have a eureka moment and go back to it.
Yeah.
And you just never know what that one idea might do for you. And again, going back to the Entrepreneurs Club, you just never know who you're going to meet. And all it takes is for one investor, one person who works for some huge media corporation to get in touch, and you could be away.
So let's talk about the Entrepreneurs Club. Where is that happening? How can people find information about it?
Yeah, so we launch on September the 14th in London. So I have a partnership with a company called the Office Group, which is great. So we work together with them. And really what it's about is meeting like-minded individuals on a monthly basis. So it's a very small membership fee. People can just go to the website www.tbeclub.com, and the plan would be to expand to multiple cities. And once you start expanding your business overseas, so we'll have a potential club in America, and if you're trying to business in America, and what we're really about is invitational application only. So we know the entrepreneurs who are coming in, and I'm just very, very ambitious and passionate about meeting those people together, connecting them, and hopefully they'll grow together. And we've got some plans to inspire young students as well. So
what's the actual format of the meetings that you have?
So it's always halfway through the month on a Wednesday evening. We'll meet at some hopefully amazing location in London, and we'll have some amazing speakers. So someone like Lord Billamore, who I know you interviewed recently, who I've met a few times. We'll have someone like him come and inspire them, come and meet them. These entrepreneurs, they want to meet new people, and it's quite nice to go out once a month on a Wednesday evening. If there are 250 people coming to the event, that's potentially 250 new contacts. So these entrepreneurs are, they're pretty good.
Great. And in fact, in terms of success and longevity, community is proven by science to be the number one factor. So like you can exercise, you can eat healthy, you can meditate, you can do all these things, but if you're surrounded by toxic people, you still won't get the overall benefits. Like community is like number one in transformational change. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that, but like when you start a business, like you need to seriously consider who you're spending time with, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think lots of entrepreneurs get very busy, but actually, like I said, you never know who you're going to meet. But yes, you will have those people who waste your time. Typically, I had a phone call this morning with someone who said, "I'll literally spend 5 minutes of your time." Spent 45 minutes, and I lost interest. But you will have those people who waste your time. Yeah. But I think you just got to choose really carefully you almost want to know who you're going to connect with before the event. Therefore, you get the most out of it. Otherwise, you could waste time.
Yeah. So one of the things that is really important, again, when you start a business is like you can work, but you also need, some sort of spirituality, physical stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And community. And again, community is probably the most important part of success, because you get energy from other people. Like, I'm on the call with you right now, and I'm feeling your energy. You're getting some energy from me. Yeah, and it's really important to be surrounded by people like that. So that's why, go to meetups like the meetup you're having yourself, and surround yourself with other people that will lift you up.
Exactly.
And that's worked really well for me in the past. So just going back to, there was a question about how have your habits changed? Have you are you doing something different than you didn't used to do? How has entrepreneurship changed you as a person?
So I mean, a couple of points. Definitely more ambitious. A lot more calculated at taking risks, and really, I always had lots and lots of ideas. A couple of years ago, I was involved in 5 or 6 companies, and I kind of just realised it's actually better to focus on maybe 1 or 2 really good things, even one, and make it ginormous, and then the rewards could be greater in the future. Mm-hmm. And what I really learned is you just got to go and knock on every single door. It doesn't matter who they are. They could be the most boring person in the world, but that guy could be best friends with some multi-millionaire dude who's quite a cool investor. And really, just have fun along the way. Don't just go and start a business for the sake of it. Really think about your long-term future. So if you're, 20, 22 years old, in 5, 6 years' time, you could potentially get married. So you just got to think ahead of the game, and
thinking long-term is one of the things that definitely you've learned to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Focus on long-term.
I think again, it's like, markets grow, technology and things change the whole time, and you've got to be better than your competition. So I don't so much focus on our competition. We're quite unique in our own way. We've got quite a nice story behind it. We've got almost quite a good presence, and if people know who you are, they want to come. That whole part is the thing. So those are my kind of things that changed.
Okay. So in terms of when life hits you in the head with a brick, what do you do?
Really simple. Just keep going. Pick yourself back up. If you're trying to do something and you can't get that, don't say no. There is always a way around it. It's just a case of what's the best way to do it, the most unique, and not so much the fastest, because you want to do it properly, but as entrepreneurs, startups, whoever you are, things always happen in life that you don't want to happen, and you just got to pick yourself back up. Even if it's you don't work on your business for a day, just switch off, go and have a blast with your friends, or just chill out, and then come back. I think it's really important to take time off. I mean, I find it really, really hard to switch off.
Yeah.
My head's buzzing at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but I think that's what drives people to successes. But it's quite important to switch off. Otherwise, it just gets like oof. So it's important to switch off.
Right. So keep on going. Take a break if you need, but get back on the horse and keep on moving.
Okay. Yeah.
So because you were bullied in school, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so it was. I think it's 4 years ago now. I honestly don't know what it was. So I had a couple of businesses at school at the time. I was having quite a lot of media exposure, quite a lot of celebrities, endorsing, meeting, and I was the only kid in school with a business. So I think each thought this guy is obviously a bit different. Pick on him, and I learned just block them out, because those people, they waste your time, they stop you, and just forget about them. And it was quite hard. I mean, I had a massive grudge against school, and until I met some really, really good friends, just let it go. You're going to be hopefully the successful one. Those guys will come and potentially, ask for some advice on their business or a job or you name it. And I haven't heard from them in 4 years, and I don't really expect to either.
I think the challenge is that sort of as humans, we kind of, going back to the community aspect, is like we want people to be similar to us. Yeah. And if you are different, now you're rejected from the community. Like, oh, we got to watch football, and we got to use our last names instead of our first names, and we all have to talk about this and that, right? And if you're different, then people notice that, and then now they're rejecting you. And that's the natural way of life. Going back to why it's important. Why do I spend time with entrepreneurs? Well, because they are the same as me. But I felt the exact same thing, Ollie, when I went out as an entrepreneur. Yeah. The good people, they were encouraging. But the negative people, they were just very negative. And I thought it was hard.
It's interesting. And actually, it's times like that where your friends outside of school, those are the ones who you really know are your closest friends. But it's going back to my point, picking yourself back up. You've literally just you've almost got to pretend they don't exist, and you just know there's not long to go until you get out of school, and just move on. Don't hold back.
So that's just another entrepreneurial lesson. Is like if you're going to do things your way, people will look at you differently. But be true to that and keep on moving forward.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it's jealousy. I think they were just a bit jealous of what someone's probably achieved, and they thought, here's an opportunity. So, But anyway, I've moved on.
Good, great. So, how did you meet all these celebrities? Because you've been in the on Fortune magazine, you've been in the Daily Mail, you've been lots of other places. You've been now on the Hardcore MBA podcast. Boom,
even better.
So how did you manage to get on to all these places?
So I start with the media. I started getting into the media when I was 13. Okay. So it was just a simple case of some young kid writing to the local paper wrote about me. I then went on to a local radio station, then the Huffington Post, which you may have heard of, picked up on me. And then a news agency called me whilst I was on holiday. They were good friends with all the UK big publications. They basically passed me on to these guys, and it just kind of took off.
So you understood at a young age that you could use PR to sell stuff.
Massive,
So you sent an email to a newspaper going, "I'm doing this stuff. Maybe you want to write about me."
Yeah, I mean, it was literally a case of, look, I think I was 15 at the time. I'm 15 years old. This is what I'm doing. I think it'd be an inspiration to aspiring entrepreneurs, especially students. And I think it's really important, especially young entrepreneurs. They want to be the next Bransons, the next Lord Sugars, you name it. But that's a long, long way off. You've got to have young role models who are making progress. And those are the ones you should first aspire to be, then the Bransons. I think, once you're in one big UK publication, then all of them start writing about you. Then entrepreneur.com get in touch, then Forbes get in touch, and then you'll, on TV shows. Touch wood so far, it's been absolutely amazing. PR is a massive, massive thing to grow a business.
So what kind of things happened after that? So basically, once that snowball started rolling, what kind of things happened? Like, did you say sales increase? What was the benefit?
I think it's not so much sales, but people recognize who you are. Yeah. So I've been stopped a couple of times on the tube in London, for example, which is great. I'm honoured. But I think, if you want to really, really get your name out there, you just got to write to every single newspaper, So going back to my question, knock on every single door. PR is the biggest way to get your name out there, and it can be done at a reasonable price, mostly free as well. But from that, I occasionally write for Virgin, so Richard Branson's a company, and I was on a trip to India recently, so talking about kind of social impact and how entrepreneurs can create entrepreneurs in rural places like India. But anyway, Richard Branson actually shared my article I wrote for Virgin on his pages. Has something like 17,000 likes.
Wow.
And then it just shares. German newspapers starting around about it. I had messages from China, Venezuela. I mean, it's quite weird. But at the same time, it just shows how powerful social media and PR can be.
Absolutely.
That's what I learned.
And have you met Richard Branson yourself?
I have. So it was quite a bizarre moment. I was invited to one of his conferences last July or August. Anyway, it was the same day as the final of the Pitch to Rich competition, which is a massive entrepreneurs competition now in the UK. And
what was the competition called again? Just so we.
It's called Pitch to Rich.
Pitch to Rich.
Yeah. So Boom. Yeah. So aspire to be.
Okay.
And anyway, I've been wanting to meet Sir Richard Branson for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And I was not going to leave that building until I met him. Anyway, he was the last one speaking. Before anyone even had a chance to stand up, I bolted out of the room, and I just literally tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Sir Richard, can I have a photo of you? I've been wanting a photo for 6 years." And he said, "Yes, of course, come with me." He literally held my hand, took me upstairs, had a quick chat, had a photo, and thanks very much. So yeah, it's quite a nice story.
Yeah, and then after that, he shared your article.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I think I'm meeting him again in 2 weeks, which would be quite nice.
You are meeting him in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's actually the Pitch to Rich final,
right?
And I'm going to stand Isa. And
are you pitching or are you on the panel?
I'm in the audience. Hopefully next year I'll be on the panel.
Okay, cool,
yeah.
Cool, very good.
Or even pitching potentially.
Yeah.
But from that, I mean, someone like Forbes magazine or Entrepreneur.com, they love a photo with Sir Richard Branson. So again, meeting all these celebrities, I mean, yes, it can be good PR, but also it's about your profile and branding as well. You've got to meet the right people because you don't want the wrong people on your brand. That can be damaging. But at the same time, there's PR is great if you can get it.
So how did you learn about PR? Who was your sort of mentor in that space?
I mean, literally, I just taught myself, watched a couple of YouTube videos, the pros and cons of PR, how you do it. And also, I've never ever written a press release. It's always been a formal letter to the journalists.
So you write a form. You send it in the post, or?
So at the moment it's all on email. So sorry, electronic email.
Yeah.
And I think they quite like hearing from young people. And I'm also very dyslexic, so sometimes there are a couple of spelling mistakes in it. And but I think it's just part of the story. And
Richard Branson is dyslexic, right? And he quit school at 16. So there's some parallels here.
Yeah, exactly. He started the magazine age 15. I started the magazine age 16, and we both met. It's quite nice.
How old are you right now?
So 18. I didn't have an island yet, sadly.
Yeah, well, you have some time to catch up. So you're 18, and just trying to think what I was doing when I was 18. Well, I didn't actually know about the world of entrepreneurship. My parents were academics, right? Yeah. And my uncle was a lawyer, but that's kind of an academic. He had his own law firm. Still does. But I remember one of our family friends was an entrepreneur, and I was always intrigued by him. But it's interesting how we don't know what we don't know, right? So you kind of had this. I'm still amazed by your sort of selling coffee to your parents at a young age, and that, because oftentimes that comes from parents that are entrepreneurs. So kids kind of pick up on it.
I think in the family, my grandfather was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I mean, he had a textiles company, but even so, I mean, apart from that, there's not really much, enterprise in the family. And going back to my thing at school, I mean, I just never really wanted to go and work for someone unless, something really bad happens. And, I just want to create something amazing that every single person loves. And, not so much go and sell it in 6 or 7 years. How do you make the world a better place? And, you only have 80, 90 years on this planet. And,
as far as we know.
Yeah, so or potentially more, and just take every single opportunity. And I hate wasting time. So at the weekends when people are, watching a football game or lying in bed, I won't have any of that.
I'm actually watching the football at the moment. I haven't watched football in years, but
Really?
I actually find it slightly relaxing.
Yeah, in fairness, sometimes when, not so much football, but maybe when the rugby or tennis is on, I watch it, but I work as well at the same time.
Okay.
Multitasking.
Okay, because what I find is I need to sort of start, I start winding down. So I had a business meeting yesterday that ended at 9:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
And after that, I didn't continue. If I continued working, I know I won't sleep until 1, which then makes the next day unproductive.
I think it depends who you are. I work really well at early hours in the morning or really late at night.
Yeah.
When
that's a strange combination, isn't it? Really late or early.
I think when everyone's gone to bed, you're up by yourself. Just crack on and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 hours is enough for me. That'll do.
Yeah. I'm feeling really inspired by you, because when you're an entrepreneur and you've been sort of at it for 9 years, and things are going well, but you're always thinking, how could I make this
Better,
£10 into £1,000, as you mentioned earlier. And I'm getting really, really inspired by speaking to you here today, and that's really cool. So, what kind of trends are you seeing in entrepreneurship in the UK? What kind of trends are you seeing? That's my question. What trends are you seeing at the moment? And it should probably be better angled, but it should probably be the first thing that you're thinking about.
So the peer-to-peer market is massive.
Okay.
The sharing economy. I'll take WeWork, for example, the co-sharing company, co-sharing desk company.
Yep.
They've done so well. They're now doing living.
I heard that. Yeah.
I think as things, the next generation, things are just getting ridiculously expensive. Rent, for example, mortgage prices. It's going to get harder and harder for people to get into employment unless they have the right skills. And that's when companies just look for talent overseas. And it goes back to my question, about universities inspiring people to go and do what they want to do. The amount of times I go and speak at, I don't do lots of public speaking, but I do a bit. When I go and speak at universities, these students, probably 75% of them, they have no clue what they want to do. So I'm kind of questioning myself, you're studying law, finance, marketing, whatever, and you don't know what you want to do, so why are you studying it? I honestly do not get it, but, I think, yes, the kind of peer-to-peer market is a massive trend at the moment, and I think the online education is big as well, but also, social impact-wise, inspiring entrepreneurs to go and start their own business. That's still growing. And crowdfunding, I think that's kind of done now. But it's a case of
so the trend is done, but it's still like a viable business.
Yeah, I think what the question is, what crowdfunding, for example, what's next after crowdfunding? Who knows? Whoever finds that out, I want to go into business with you.
Yeah.
Who knows? Trends change every single day, but I think it depends what your business is.
Well, I think what we're seeing in crowdfunding is it's just moved to different types of crowdfunding. So now, with Property Partner, you can buy houses with other people. So I put down £60 for a property. So I own a small I own like a few
Right.
atoms in a property somewhere in London. I don't even know where it is. I just bought it to see how the system worked.
See, I think property crowdfunding is interesting.
Yeah.
I personally would never do it, only because, I mean, the Brexit thing, for example, I guess it will have an impact, but I just think property is different to businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't really know the market that well.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I spent £60. And I also like Crowdcube, where you can buy percent. You fund for like £1,000 or £100 or whatever. You have different shares, and you then get a percentage of a real business.
Yeah.
A friend of mine's doing a campaign right now. Michael Townsend, who was on this podcast, he's got this really cool breathing app. And he's doing crowdfunding right now, so it's cool.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I think with crowdfunding, I mean, especially businesses, you can raise money very, very quickly. But at the same time, there was a company on the crowdfunding side who raised just under £4 million, and they had a couple of thousand investors. When it comes down to shareholders' agreements, dividends, 2,000 dividends. I mean, that's quite a lot of paperwork.
I think I hope, I don't know this, but I think maybe that's part of the Crowdcube model. Well, in theory, like maybe they sell it as a back-end product. I mean, that would be the smart thing to do. Lure companies in with an easy way to get funded, and then on the back end, you sell them all the services they need to actually do all the legal hassle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends what type of funding you're looking for.
Yeah.
I think I'm a big believer in individual investors, maybe VCs, where you can spend good time with, particularly angel investors. If you can find that investor who wants to grow with you,
yeah,
perfect. The trouble with crowdfunding, once you've got a couple thousand investors, even a couple of hundred, you're probably never going to meet them. You might meet a fair few, but you just can't. It's not part of the story. You can't grow together. So we'll see.
Great. Are you currently outsourcing anything at the moment? Are you taking advantage of the global talent pool that we have access to? Or are you staying loyal to the UK?
Yeah, not at the moment. I think we're very much a UK company.
Yeah.
But once we start expanding overseas, that's when things will get exciting. But it's interesting. These kind of big corporates. I suppose quite a few of them are from overseas. I just don't. The talent's not here in the UK, and they're not so fussed where they come from. They want someone who can do a really good job and make the company lots of money. I think personally, that's what I believe. That's all they really care about.
So, I'm big in outsourcing. That's basically MrOutsource.com. That's kind of, we help entrepreneurs outsource.
Nice. Very cool.
So that's one of my businesses. So if you ever need any outsourcing, just drop us an email. Of course.
Look,
Yeah. So what kind of software and hardware are you currently using that you want to shout out about?
Sorry, what kind of
software, hardware, like what kind of gadget are you currently using that you think is cool, that you want to share?
At the moment, I spend my phone. That's literally what I'm using.
Is that an Android? Did I see that? Is it an Android?
That's no iPhone.
Oh, it's an iPhone. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'm a lot of these kind of going back to communities. A lot of them are very, very focused on technology. Yes, technology is the way it's going, but it's not all about that. But I think once we start getting bigger, we will have some online kind of platform which will probably build. And I find the coding kind of thing quite interesting. The website, our club website, I actually built myself.
Cool.
Didn't have a clue how to do it. Watch a YouTube video for half an hour and kind of just figured it out.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, it's not so much the cost of how much it's going to cost to build. If you can do it yourself, you can do it within minutes. Whereas if you go through agencies and people, it could take up to a day. And I think entrepreneurs, they want things done instantly, and that's kind of just what I just taught myself. And I can't build like a LinkedIn kind of software, but and do pretty simple stuff. That's all I need for now.
I think sort of I come from it from two different angles. Like, one is, do I want to do it myself? Like, am I interested in it? Will it be fun?
Yeah.
And if it's not any of those, I outsource it. Like, I get somebody else to do it. So, because like, I want to spend time doing the things where I can add value, because I can't do everything. And building a website can be a lot of fun, right? So like, I might want to do that.
It can be really annoying as well.
Yeah, but it can be annoying. So I think it comes down to whether it's like a good fit for you as an entrepreneur, or if you want to have just
and it goes back to the outsourcing as well.
Yeah.
You can get a website made in the UK for $1,000, $2,000. High profile agencies will charge maybe 30 grand.
Yeah.
But then you can go to somewhere in America or India, somewhere in the Far East, they'll probably charge you a couple $100.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I mean, I think it depends really what you want. If you communicate with a overseas agency, they might not quite understand what you want. But if you're in a UK company, you can go meet them. I think it honestly depends what your budget is and what you're trying to do.
Totally. Absolutely.
If you've got a massive budget, then definitely stick to UK. If you're, belong to based in the UK, but if you're wanting to get a pretty cheap website, come to your website.
Well, I'd like to think we make pretty good stuff, but it depends. I mean, I have friends that do program in Norway, right? So because they just want to have the person in the office, so they hired in 2 programmers. They were £100 each an hour. And they probably, if they went to Croatia or somewhere, they probably could have paid £30 an hour, right? But they just wanted them close because it was just more efficient and they had the money. So it also comes down to what can you afford, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite book and why?
My favorite book. That's a good question. Well, I'm dyslexic, so I can't really read. But the book I've read in the past, Richard Branson, Richard Branson, The Virgin Way. That's pretty good. To be honest, I mean, I've only read 1 or 2 books from start to end. Again, like, there's not much time in the day to kind of focus on that. But I do quite like podcasts, so I'm definitely going to start, watching yours all the time now. We have a good one in the UK called London Real, which we have a lot of. Those are cool documentaries. It's just quite, it's interesting to see what world. And that's very important for, especially young people to know. When I get up every morning, I always watch the news. And I think it's something young people especially should be doing as well. Because they're always so glued to their, apps or, phones, whatever, that actually they don't really know what's going on in the real world.
Yeah.
And that's something I always make sure. But books, Richard Branson, of course.
Okay, cool. And podcasts. So the thing that a lot of people don't know about books is, like, you don't have to read the whole thing. You can take up a book. You can read the chapter that you wanna, unless you sort of want the whole experience, because the book is like structured in like introduction, midsection, conclusion, right? So if you want the whole run through, then that's fine. But if you just kind of want to read a chapter just to get an insight, that's fine too. Like, you don't have to read the whole book.
I mean, I think it's quite interesting. I find podcasts it's a lot more engaging, and you get a lot more out of the story. Instead of spending weeks reading a book, you can watch a podcast in an hour. So,
I was making my green smoothie upstairs. Are you doing breakfast green smoothies at the moment?
Actually, I haven't had a smoothie in a long time.
Okay.
I do normally have breakfast. Normally have 6 or 7 cups of tea in the morning.
Okay.
That gets me going.
Yeah, so basically, instead of the tea, I have like a green smoothie where there's like 80% green stuff. So I got like kale, got fennel, celery. Because a lot of people put fruit in their smoothies. Like, you shouldn't have a lot of sugar, so you shouldn't have a lot of fruit. So you should have like 80-90% green stuff, and then you can add like a banana or some blueberries just to give it like a little bit of sweet taste.
I want to try a green smoothie. I've never tried one, but
I'm telling you, man, if you start, so one of my coaching clients, he's like a Canadian specialist in the about the gut, and our gut is our biggest organ.
Yeah.
Right. And if you take the gut and you like put it all over a tennis court, you can fill 2 tennis courts. So my point is, it's a big organ, and actually our brain and our heart is determined by our gut. So like how we feel. So like if you're an entrepreneur and you want lots of energy, you want to be able to do all the things you want to do. If you feed yourself with like a green smoothie every morning, you're starting off with like lots of energy. So that's why I do it. That's one of the things that entrepreneurship taught me was like, eat green stuff because you get more energy. If I have more energy, I can do more stuff. I'll sleep better. I'll be better with people, etc. There
you go. That's our new business. It's going to be a drink that gets people up and going in the morning.
Sounds good. Sounds perfect.
That's good. Yeah. Perfect.
So what entrepreneur really inspires you?
So I mean, I think my first role model was Richard Branson.
Yeah.
I know probably everyone says that, but actually for me, we share a lot of similarities. He left school age 16. I left school age 16. He's dyslexic, vice versa. And, it's just truly incredible what he has done. I think he's 65, 68 now.
Okay.
And it's just literally just truly incredible what he's done. And, I think it's incredibly inspiring. You have, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, Jeff Bezos, all these really, really interesting people. And what's interesting is a lot of them have similarities. They all are incredibly ambitious. They don't sleep. And they want to get to the top. But also they want to give back at some point as well. So Virgin's very good at, they've got a charity called Virgin Unite, which works with overseas projects. And it's just really nice to see the impact that a massive company has, turns over a lot of money, but at the same time, they support a lot of very, very good causes.
Yeah.
And I only wish more corporates did that.
So I actually learned today when I was listening to a podcast that I manage my email the same way as Jeff Bezos does.
Okay, interesting. How's that?
So my 2 virtual assistants have access to my email, and they'll reply to as many things as they can.
Okay, interesting.
Right? And then there's like a system of organizing it. But basically, I think Jeff Bezos' assistants, they reply to everything. And then he reads his email, but he only replies to some things, supposedly. So it's similar, but not exactly the same.
Yeah, I've emailed him once, and he responded to me, so...
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did.
So this is the thing, like, people don't email people. People wonder, how have I been able to get, like, Lord Billimora, yourself, and things like that on the podcast? It's just like... You just email people, like with the PR press thing that you're talking about. Just like freaking email your story. Newspapers want stories,
Exactly.
That's their business.
There's 2. I think there's 2 stories. Whenever someone emails me, I try and respond within about 20 minutes to every single email. Okay. And when I've just been in a newspaper or on a TV show, let's say I get 50 or 100 emails asking for some advice or inspiration, I will make sure I respond to every single one of those. Because it's really not hard to respond to an email. I'm a big believer in that person's taking the time to get in touch with you. It takes 5 seconds, 2 minutes to respond to an email. So I'm a big advocate of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. So where do you want to be in 3 years' time?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think at the moment I'm very focused on the Entrepreneurs Club. We're looking to take it to 5 cities in the first year, and I would like to be in essentially 15 or 20 cities in 3 years. And I want to build some form of Entrepreneurs Academy to inspire students to go and start their own business. I've been to 2 business schools, both of them were not that good. And I honestly think, there's quite a nice story behind the brand.
Yep.
And I think people will be really interested in kind of, go and start the business. There might be a tiny, fee involved, but at the same time, if you pay this tiny fee and you have a business idea and you go and start your own business, is a good investment, I guess. And And yeah, I mean, so I moved to London in 15 days, which is exciting. And then
Are you moving to central London or
southwest?
Cool.
So Balham area.
Good.
And maybe 5-6 years, potentially move to America if things work.
Okay.
I see
Valley, New York.
I think at the moment it's New York.
In the middle somewhere.
I mean,
Oklahoma
New York
City, maybe.
Never actually moved to America yet, so I can't say I'm going to actually move there. But you have big ambitions.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people. If you don't dream big, you're not going to aspire to anything.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll be 21. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Fantastic.
Doing quite well.
So, where can we get more information about you? So, if you enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more about Ollie, where can we go?
So, you can visit my personal website, which is just ollieforsyth.com, or you can go to the Budding Entrepreneur Club's website, which is just www.tbclub.com, or follow me on Twitter at Ollie Forsyth.
Great. And we'll add this in the show notes as well, guys.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please go below this video, or if you're on iTunes, please write a review. It really helps us reach more people and keep the show growing and becoming better and better and better. Share it. Just sort of, if you enjoyed it, then share it or hit a like. It really helps us reach more people, have a bigger impact. You've been beautiful. Thank you so much.
So much too. Thank you. Go inspire lots of people.
This podcast is brought to you by MrOutsource.com. Outsourcing to the Philippines done for you. Mr. Outsource is a recruitment company matching busy entrepreneurs with Filipino virtual assistants, so you can have the time to focus on what's important.